big week for us. Division opponent here. Got to do a great job preparing to get ready to go. For us, updates here, I would say for practice, Joe Dahl, Deshaun Hand, Tracy Walker, and Sam Martin will not practice today. All right, we'll keep them out of practice as we go out there and try to get a good Wednesday going here today. So, from that standpoint, just back to work. On to Chicago. We got a really good Chicago team that we got to go there and we got to go play against. We know how dangerous they are. In all three phases of the game, really, to be honest with you, they have great players and great plays in all three phases. So, be a big challenge for us. We're going to work cut out, but that's what we do every single week. We go to work and try to get better and try to go out and give ourselves a chance to win. So, from that aspect of it, just kind of a normal week, really, for us, coming off the weekend. So, what do we got?
So what happened with Sam? Because that was not something that popped up at all, injury-wise, in the game on Sunday.
Yeah, Sam played in the game, came out of the game a little sore in the abdomen area. Thought it'd be a good idea to give him a little bit of rest, and while we, just take a look at him. One of the things we work on today that's really important is our coverage units against the return game. They have a phenomenal return game. They have great players that, Cohen in the punt return and then Patterson in the kickoff return. So we needed kind of some live kicks. So have the practice squad spot available to us. So we thought it was a good opportunity to get live kicks so we can work on kind of the timing of that stuff here today, outside kind of in the environment and all that. So, Sam, see what he looks like tomorrow from that aspect of it, but just sore coming out of the game.
Back to what you kind of said, it's back to the new week and all that stuff. NFL's a week-to-week thing. When you have such a, kind of bitter at the end of the game, last play of the game type of loss, what's your philosophy on trying to, like you said, move on, but, not let that hurt, but in the good way?
Yeah. I think for us, anytime we don't win, it's all the same. You're not happy. However you don't win, it's still the same feeling. You didn't get the W, you didn't get the all that work that you put into it. It didn't come out in a very positive manner. So for us, we got to make sure that we learn, as we push forward and make sure there's things that come up in the game that we got to eliminate and try to do better and push forward as important as it is to, understand what we did last week. It's really important for us to move forward this week and get on to the next opponent. So the guys know that they're great. Every single week they're great. They come in, they're, like I've said it many times before, it's a tough team mentally and physically. And part of that mental toughness is turning the page and getting ready for an opponent and knowing that your opponent's getting ready for you. There's not a lot of time to really kind of do anything other than study and focus on what you're going to see this weekend and what do you do to make sure that we're operating at a high level this weekend. So I think that's one thing from the season so far that our guys have done a great job of that we can continue to lean on so that we are competitive and tough and battling every single week to give ourselves a chance to win.
Without giving any strategy away or schematics and blaming yourself, what can you tell fans is the reason that the defense has regressed from where it was so good the last half of last year?
Sure. I think for us, again, every year is a new year. So we never really, you start over every single year, and that's the truth. Everybody builds differently. The players are, the names may be the same, but they're different from year to year. They work, the coaches, the same thing. So for us, it's just where we are right now. It's where we are this year. It's what do we do to get better this year? What do we do better moving forward for the next 8 games? That's what's important to us. You can't sit there and say, well, this is where we were last year, because it doesn't mean anything. There's a lot of months that go by between the end of last year and the start of this year. And what's important to us is, where we are and how do we get better going forward. That's the most important thing. We've had some good football out there defensively, and we've had some bad football. And I think if we could eliminate the bad football plays and put some more consistent good football on the field, we'd be right where we need to be. But those are the things that I'm continually trying to coach better and work harder to get rid of. Penalties is obviously an easy one, to point to from that standpoint. We got to just do a better job eliminating that stuff. Some of the big plays that are, happening, we got to do a good job of eliminating that. So it's really focused on where we are now. That's really the biggest thing and how the pieces fit together this year that we know we got to get better at. Yep.
Defense is struggling in so many aspects, consistency, across the board. Do you question anything about your own routine week to week and maybe why it's not clicking at the halfway point of the season?
I think for me as a coach, I'm always going to start with my coaching. My coaching, my coaches. I think for us, any teacher, any educator is always going to look at, their students and say, all right, well, if they're not getting the information, how do we give it to them better? And that's the bottom line. So, and then as a student or as a player, you look at it and say, all right, how do I get information better or how do I perform it better? And, we'll always start there. That's what the game is. It's about teaching. it's about learning and making sure that we're doing the best job we can there to get all of that information across. And, and then we got to go perform on Sunday. So for us, I think a lot of it will go back to basics like we usually do in those situations. You have to have a foundation to build on, and some of the foundation pieces that we have right now have to be more consistent, and that's the truth. So once we get to that point where that stuff is consistent, then you can build from there, and that's the case where repetition and practice and, being in situations where we can continually work on that stuff, muscle memory, all of that is so important to us, all the way throughout the entire course of the year, making sure that we stay up on that.
Surprised given your emphasis on that fundamental foundation dating back all the way to when these first guys get here in April, that some of those things haven't taken root this deep into the season, and you're still having to, I guess, hit those points and can't focus on maybe some of the higher level nuances of your defensive scheme?
No, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say any words other than just it is what it is right now, and we got to get better. That's where we're at. I think for us, there's time on task that's incorporated into all of that, and certainly from that standpoint, just being able to go out and do it on the field and do it the way that we need it done is certainly part of it. So for us, it's about how we handle it going forward. I think anything other than that is not really going to be helpful. And honestly, fundamentals will be talked about from the first day we start until the very last day of each and every single season, because in the end, those are the skill sets that come into play, regardless of the call, regardless of the situation, regardless of the play. Usually at some point in the biggest games of the year, it'll be a fundamental skill set that helps that thing go either way. So those are things you don't take for granted, and you work on them all the time.
And kind of following up on that, what aspect of maybe your teaching specifically, when you look at it, do you think is just not connected?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's exactly what I said. I'll try to readdress it, reteach it, redo whatever I can from that stuff. Anyway, put it in different terminology if I have to, relate it to other concepts if I have to, from that standpoint, to make sure that the message is coming across.
Snacks had a really good game. How much does it help him now? Kind of bounce back. He's been dealing with that groin. Just what does it do for him and maybe the confidence of the D line?
Yeah, I would agree. I think some of it, hopefully coming off of that, we can build on the confidence part of that. That we're able to kind of use. He was able to kind of use some of the leverage, the strength, and some of the lower body. Maybe things that he's been dealing with in a positive way. So hopefully we continue to build on that from that aspect of it and try to do it, a little bit more. But I think, he's a guy that's been working really hard, from the moment he finally got back out on the field to be able to push through and catch up on some of that stuff. And it was good to see that in the game, certainly from that aspect of it. But some of that, he definitely saw some of that strength back in, his lower body from that aspect of it, and his pad level, things like that he was able to do. So, that was good to see, and hopefully we keep building on that as we go through, in the next several weeks as we push forward. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Coach, that's probably not the most pressing issue, but if for some reason they had to make a quarterback change in-game or whatever, the fact that you faced Chase Daniel for a full game prepared against him be some slight advantage for you in the game, which you at least have a feel for how he plays the game.
I think, yeah, I mean, I think it's always interesting when, those situations come up, however they do come up, with players that come in the game that maybe you haven't seen before from that aspect of it. So it's always good to kind of see those players, previously, and especially at the quarterback position. But I mean, for us, it's, Trubisky. I mean, this guy he's a good player. He's athletic. He's strong. He can get out of trouble. He can extend plays. He can scramble. He can run. He can throw. He's got deep balls. He's got great skill guys. So that's the major issue we have to deal with. He's a great player, and we got to start there.
Since you've been in the NFL, you've had solid quarterbacks and kickers, the teams you've been with. Have you been in situations in the past where that wasn't the case, and what can that do to a team and a locker room when that maybe isn't the case there?
I don't know. That's probably a pretty good question as far as that's concerned. I mean, I think every position is really important. I think the one thing about those positions I'll say that's unique is we have, a saying in the NFL. It's, if you do one thing for this team, it better be one thing really well. And those are two positions that usually you do one thing from that aspect of it. So you expect those guys to, to be able to hold that position and do it at a high level. So, I think when those guys don't, then, that's usually when you have problems or issues or things you gotta deal with. But I would say that's just general comments.
Basically, a lot of people, you say he's a good player, and a lot of people may look at it, the average fan, us, and just say he's struggling, whatever. And I know to get to the NFL, you have to be a good player, but what do you see that leads you to believe that he is a good player, and why then is the Bears offense struggling?
Well, I mean, I think, if you watch on tape, I think there's a lot of trust that he has with his skill guys, from that standpoint. He's going to get the ball up to Allen. He's going to get the ball up to Gabriel. Those guys are, they're fast. They get downfield. Burton, we know he's a good player. We know he's been dealing with something, but working through and getting better as the weeks go. So, for us, we try to look at all those games individually and understand, all right, maybe why was this game played the way it was played, or maybe it looks like, this because of these reasons. For us, as we prepare and, we look at it, that team is getting healthy. They're getting, stronger. They're getting better in some of those situations. Maybe they've calmed some things down from that standpoint to get them a little bit more confidence. Maybe they're allowed to kind of use different strengths that they have, whether it's Montgomery or, Cohen or any of those players there where they're so explosive and so dynamic. If you don't account for it that way and you don't prepare that way, then you're going to get beat. This is the NFL. There's good players. These guys can come at you at any time, and it's a fine line between winning and losing. That's the truth. So, he's done it for a long enough time to establish himself at a high level. We know how dangerous he can be, and that's the truth. So we need to make sure we prepare that way.
Keep him in the pocket, then have him run around, correct?
He's very dangerous outside the pocket. He makes good throws inside the pocket too. Again, like I said, I think the trust level that he has with those skill guys, Robinson, I mean, he'll put the ball up and usually, Robinson comes down with it. He makes those big plays. So when you have that ability, you can stay in the pocket and make those throws, but very dangerous outside the pocket.
Can I squeeze in once more?
Yeah.
So we won't get you tomorrow. Just they made a change at defensive coordinator with Fangio going over to Denver. Pagano's got a long track record in this league. I just wondered what his fingerprints are on this personnel group that's obviously a pretty accomplished group.
Yeah. I think that's one of the interesting things about, Chuck taking over for the defense over there was he is a guy that's used to, let's say, having 3-4 personnel and utilizing it into different looks, different fronts, similar to the way that Vic would be able to do that. Utilizing those guys in a very similar way. Chuck has a couple of different little pressure packages that he likes to run and some different sort of, whether it's overload blitzes or alignments or, he also does a really good job with the coverage part of it. He's coached in the secondary a lot through his course of his career. So some of the nuances between the coverage differences, you can see those show up too a little bit between the press and the off man, and maybe a couple of the different exchange sort of coverage, disguises that they use. Those will show up too. So you can kind of see those being filtered in from that aspect of it. The biggest thing is, obviously when you watch their defense is the players. They have really, really good players, dynamic players. And even with Hicks being on IR, I mean, Goldman in the middle is knocking the line of scrimmage back, and those guys are, very effective overall in the front. So I think, Chuck does a great job of understanding the personnel that he has and utilizing them to the best of their abilities to go make plays. Yep.
Question, just, I know that after the game it must have been tough, but just did you ever take some time to look around the stadium, just all those old Raiders, growing up with the game, John Facenda, all that stuff? I mean,
Yeah.
Last time you're going to play there?
Yeah, you know what? Great question. I do really, I love the game, and, I love every aspect of it. And it's probably as upset and angry as I was that we didn't win because, all I really want to do is win. As I was kind of walking out before we hit the tunnel, before we went, I kind of looked up, and you see the names, you see the scoreboards, and you understand that, obviously the baseball history there, but the football history and the black hole and all the rest of it. So, for me, I did take a couple seconds to kind of soak that in and kind of put it in the back of my memory banks, for a later date. But there is a lot of great history and tradition there with the Raiders and in Oakland, and it's a hostile environment. They're yelling at you, they're screaming, they're saying a lot of not really friendly things. But I tend to enjoy that. I think that's the fun of the game. So I did. Yep.
Thank you, man.
Yep.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
I think we've done a nice job in the play action game. Making some big plays. Those guys are making great plays down the field. The guys up front are giving me time to get it down there. I think we've done a nice job on third down, staying on the field, which helps. We're getting more plays, and those guys on the outside are making great plays.
Has that been the fun part for you, is pushing?
What's up?
Are you still battling that voice?
It's way better. I'm fine. It's just still a little sick, but so is everybody in Michigan right now. So.
Pushing the ball down the field, has that been the fun part too? I mean, obviously, bigger guy quarterbacks like to throw the ball down the field, make big plays. You're doing that a lot more. Is that one of the?
Yeah, I think our guys are doing a good job of getting behind people and winning downfield, which is giving me confidence to cut it loose to them. And then obviously when the ball's in the air, they're doing a good job making plays. Bev's doing a great job of scheming it up. We're getting some guys, with a step or two, on deep defenders and able to connect.
Kenny and Marv, they're second in the NFL in terms of deep balls, like for a duo in the NFL. Part of that is what you guys are doing offensively, parts of your arm. But how do those guys play off each other? How do their skill sets sort of complement each other to be so effective with both of them?
Yeah, they're both, big, talented guys, move well and obviously track the ball in the air really well, go up and make good plays. Marv made a great catch last week, and then Kenny, caught one, and then obviously, ran with it afterwards and got it in the end zone. So they both kind of do it their own unique way, but they're both, making plays for us, and we're looking for obviously as much of that as we can get.
You've always done a good job using your eyes to kind of move safeties and keep them at bay, but it seems like you've done a lot more of the no-look kind of throws this year, especially across the middle. I'm wondering if that's something that you've explicitly worked on to be more part of your game.
No, that's full feel. I'm not working on that in the off season or anything, but it's more just feeling it in the game, trying to see as much as I can possibly see, and then obviously try to get the ball to our guys with space and let them go work.
And what kind of, we always know you've thrown a lot of different arm angles,
yeah.
Throw off platform. What kind of confidence does it take in yourself and your guys to, I guess, throw something and just anticipate where they are without even looking?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of trust, obviously. Trusting what I'm seeing, trusting what they're going to do when I put it out there. These guys are doing a good job of, catching it and coming down with it. They always know to be on their toes and be ready for the ball. So
you played this defense a lot over the years, obviously pretty familiar with it. New coordinator, how are they different at all?
Somewhat similar. Obviously a lot of the same players, a lot of the same carryover. With that, I think their scheme is somewhat similar. There's obviously, things that I'm sure Pagano likes to do that are a little bit different than what they were doing in the years past. So, you got to kind of study that and see what those things are. But at the same time, generally speaking, it's a pretty similar group and it's still a really talented group.
We were just talking about Golladay about his progression. One of the things he said was, "I've got Stafford." Well, you got Golladay. What do you?
Yeah, big physical guy. Really good player down the field. Contested catch guy. I think he's done a really good job of getting better every year, and just happy to watch him progress and the way he works. And then obviously a guy that loves to go out and compete. When he's on Sunday, he's out there trying to make every play he possibly can.
Yeah, one other thing about him, Matthew, his career has developed as a known player. The teams treat him differently now because they know him.
I think we have two guys on the outside right now that are producing at a pretty high level. So teams are, kind of picking and choosing. Some choose to, match or lean or whatever it is, and one week, and sometimes the next week it's the other guy. So every week is different, and those guys do a great job of understanding when they get their opportunities to go make the best of them or make the most of them, and they've done a nice job of that.
You brought up an injury report limited with the hip and back. Is it the same issue that you were dealing with at the beginning of the year? Or
no, I'm fine. I'll be good to go. I'm not really worried about it. Something different, but I'm totally good.
Is it related to last year?
No, I'm good.
Matthew, this is not where you guys want to be at the midseason point, especially after starting the way you guys did. How's the locker room responding heading into the second half of the season?
I think we're in as good a place as we can be. Obviously, like you said, we want to be in a different spot record-wise than we are. But these guys come every day to work. It's part of one of the things I love about being in this locker room. We got a bunch of great guys that come in, show up and work, try to succeed and be as good as they can possibly be, day in and day out, week in and week out, no matter what happened the week before, win or loss. So I'm happy to be in this locker room for that reason, and I expect that to stay the same no matter what happens.
Every single game has been what feels like a nail biter. You guys are in it until the final 4 or 5 minutes, something's coming down. How difficult is it to be that team that gets over the hump more often than not in the NFL, where every game is seemingly close? Yeah,
it's just a matter of making those plays. We've had years where we've made a bunch of them and won a bunch of close games, had other years where sometimes you make 50-50, and other times you make less, of a percentage of them. So we just got to make sure that, the past is the past now. We can't control that. We got to make sure that when we're in those tough situations, the rest of the way out, that we do a good job of giving ourselves the best chance to go out there and compete and succeed.
Offense, we just got to keep working on little things, and being able to finish games. That's really pretty much for any team, just execute. But as far as us, executing down the stretch, that's the most important thing.
You see some of the things that you and Marvin have put together as a duo, the contested catches and all that. What does that mean to you when you regard it rather than in certain categories?
It means a lot. I ain't gonna lie, me and Marv compete with that type of stuff, and that just makes it fun, even Danny gets in on just who gonna make the next play, That's just, just with inside the receiver room, just competing with each other makes it all get better.
Kenny, how do you guys complement each other? You're both big, but you're both deep threats, but you both play a little different. So how does that sort of?
Marv can take you deep, I can take you deep, but we both, hit you short and immediate routes. It's just tough for defenses, especially if you got like a corner who you'd like to match. It's just tough,
What's going through your head on that last play of the game, not being out on the field? Is that tough as a competitor, the way you've been playing that game?
Of course, I would like to be on the field, just to compete out there with the guys, but I have all the trust in the world that those guys can get it done.
What do you see in the Bears defense this year? They were one of the best last year, obviously. They're still pretty good, but maybe.
They got a lot of the same guys back. They got Clint Dix. Of course, we've seen him when he was with Green Bay, so we know that guy pretty well. But same defense, still, good defense.
What makes them so good?
Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack. Linebackers. They got some corners who's been over there for a while. They got Jackson, Clint Dix. They just got guys across the board.
It's your third time going back home. Does it get any different to play it?
Oh, it's always exciting going back home to play. I'm excited. I get excited, every time we play Chicago, in Chicago.
Sure.
Is that family there this Sunday?
Quite a few.
Is it personal to you?
Nah. It's not like a game I circle on my calendar like, Chicago. Nah, just another game.
They passed on you, though? Did you take that personally that could have drafted you?
A lot of teams passed on me. So,
From your hometown, though?
It's all right.
Have you set any goals?
I'm with Matthew Stafford.
Whoa, is that a shot at Trubisky?
Hey, I ain't say nothing.
Well, does he ever say he's with you? That's what we want to ask you first. Did you ever set any goals? Have you set any standards for yourself, maybe double-digit touchdowns or something like that?
Yeah, that was personal,
though. Running the ball consistently. I think the running back's playing at a very consistent level as a rookie. For a rookie, he's playing at a high level. So we got to stop him, and we got to stop him from making plays with his feet. So we just got to play ball.
Allen Robinson's playing at a really high level. What does he do well when you're out there covering him on the perimeter?
He made tough catches. He made 50-50 balls pretty hard. Great route runner. Good down the field now. It looked like he coming a long way from off his ACL 2 years ago. It's good for him, man. He got back healthy, getting back to where he needed to be.
Is that you? He'll be your guard this week, today?
We'll see.
What about Trubisky?
Y'all smell so good. Y'all do. They stink. Y'all smell great.
Thank you.
Y'all smell great.
That's him. What do you think about Trubisky? You didn't mention him in your assessment of the offense there.
You said what? I said Trubisky good. We got to start keeping him in the pocket. Start making plays with his feet. So you hard.
I missed it.
He ain't hit it.
What's your mindset in terms of team goals for this team right now? Where are you standing?
We just need to win. That's the team goal, to win. Ultimate goal is to win. So that's what we're trying to do this week. Division game, we need it bad.
Patricia said he talked with you after your comments from the locker room the other day. Do you feel they were misconstrued publicly?
I don't know. I mean, y'all wrote something. So all I'm saying is it's the same stuff. We just got to get it right. That's it.
Feeling better with the hamstring?
I played Sunday, didn't
I don't know how you feel.
I feel good. Feel good.
They didn't even test it.
Huh?
They didn't even test it. They didn't throw any balls anyway.
It be like that sometimes. It be like that.
Hasn't that felt like that all season? seems like most teams are. I mean, Los Angeles took some shots at you.
That's the only one. And to be honest, I probably only got like 20 targets since I've been playing. So, and half of them came from Keenan. So, pretty good.
Do you take that as a sign of respect?
No, I feel like respect if you threw it, if you did throw it more than 20 times. I still got a lot of respect. I earned it. I worked for it. But I just kind of do whatever I can do to help the team win. So obviously I'm doing pretty good.
Through your way more?
I mean, I like to be called big play for something. I need to make a play. So that's the game. I try to make plays in all type of ways, but I don't get no targets. I got to do something different. Maybe punch a ball out or something. I don't know. I've been trying to get back there to return punts for the longest. They be hating on me. Yeah, I'm a goat back there.
When did you do that? When was the last time you did that?
Huh?
When was the last time you returned punts?
Practice?
Not a game.
Not a game. They won't give it to me.
How about on a regular though? Did you do it back college or anything?
I did in college before, yeah. But like they said, they be hating on me. They want me to get that better scoring touchdowns. They want me to see me in the end zone.
So what were you
Any
like?
touchdowns in college?
I mean, not returning, but interception. That's what I'm saying. I got tubs of interception. They want to give me the ball, man. It's all right, though. They want to get the ball they had. It's all good.
What were you like as a return man?
Goatish. Goatish. I like that. I might have lost my return skills since I ain't been having the ball in my hand so much. I was used to having the ball in my hand a lot. Now I probably done lost a little step in my agility, man. But I get it back. God. Huh?
Don't tell him yourself.
What?
You lost your ability, right?
No, like with the ball in my hand.
Okay.
Not like, no, I'm just turning the ball in my hand. Like returner, you gotta do a lot of juking and stay consistent at it.
Still got the speed.
Oh, that's never going nowhere. I'm fast as hell.
Wait,
So who
never?
Hmm?
Like you do realize age eventually happens, right?
Age eventually happen?
Age eventually happens. Like,
Yeah,
speed
and
goes
that's the
with
thing
age.
is though, I'm gonna be the fastest person at my age. So when I get to that 50 or whatever the Lord bless me with to see, I'm gonna be faster than every average 50-year-old.
So who do you tell, Bonamego or Patricia? Or who's the area you've been trying to get?
Man, see, Bono already been. He know what I'm capable of. He been here when I was young, so he's seen it. He know it. But you know what I'm saying? We got to just keep pushing up to the wall. Up the ladder. We gonna get there one day.
Is Devin Hester the GOAT when it comes to?
Beyond the GOAT. That is the GOAT, man. You see, whew, Jesus. I'll call it his end of his prime. So still GOATish though. Oh yeah, for sure the GOAT.